All right, what's up, Festival Tales Podcast? We are back, and we're back together. It's been a weird couple weeks with solo episodes or one of us missing, but we're back, settled in, moved in, all that stuff. And Ade, what's going on with you? You're back?
Yeah, I'm
Didn't have
back.
anything going. It was mainly just me.
Yeah, we're back. There's been a crazy couple of weeks for both of us, I feel like. I just turned 26, had family in town. Babs was moving. We went to a festival in the middle of all of that, and now we're here and we're back.
Festival was planned before the move, so it wasn't like, let me just go in the middle of moving, but nope. But yeah, we're back. So if, usual housekeeping notes, if you guys can like, subscribe, write a review for the podcast, we greatly appreciate that. The podcast is also partnered with The Stage, EDM Central Hub. Make sure to check them out. They got an awesome website for all types of EDM content, including yours truly. This podcast is on there as well.
Yes, yeah. We love The Stage.
And then before we get going into Ubbi Dubbi stories, or Ubbi Dubbi, however you.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna keep doing this all
episode. I'm gonna say it how I say it, and you're gonna say it how you're saying it. But
Ubbi Dubbi.
My friends in Florida would like to disagree, but
Disco Donnie literally put out a video saying it's Ubbi Dubbi.
Okay, well, you need to send me that so I can show them, because I said it once in front of them the way you say it, and they made fun of me the rest of the night. So yeah,
I'll send it to you.
But you have an announcement before we get going.
Yeah, so we want to thank you guys for participating in our first ever giveaway. We finally have all these entries in, and we are so happy to be reading the stories you guys submitted and to gift you guys a custom pashmina by Creations by Demi. So we're not going to announce who won it exactly on this episode just because it was anonymous stories, but we will be emailing you or DMing you if you won. So just be sure to check that out and get back to us. That way we can get your custom pashmina ordered. We want to thank all you guys for submitting and supporting the podcast so far and everything like that. So it was great to get back to you guys, and we want to thank you guys again. So like I said, whoever won, we will be reaching out to you. So just be able to reach back out to us so we can get all your info sorted out. I think that was it, right, Babs?
That was it. Yeah.
Awesome.
And who knows, we may do more giveaways or something in the future, but that is something we want to do to give back to you guys. So we appreciate your participation, and happy to the winner.
Congrats to the winner. Happy.
I've been running around all day. My mind's just like, happy. Everyone's happy. Anyways, oh my gosh. Well, let's jump into it. I'm ready. I've got stories lined up. I'm sure you do. You want to go first? How do you want to do it? You want to launch day one?
I feel like I don't have any stories from Ubbi, but I should have thought about this beforehand. The only story I have was like our planning, I guess, like the shit show that was getting to the festival. We have to start with yours then, because yours is like at the beginning for sure. Yeah, so let's start with mine, because that was like, day one, just, right off the bat. I felt so embarrassed by the story, but it was out of my control. But I think just because of me being Vibe with Ade and a festival content creator and having like logistical things happen to me that shouldn't have gone wrong just made me feel like really dumb, even though it wasn't like a dumb thing to happen or do or whatever. So basically, also this is the first time that my boyfriend and I were traveling to a festival together, going to a festival together. So I also felt super like embarrassed in front of him too, in a way, even though he doesn't care. But basically what happened was that our hotel canceled on us. So I booked this hotel maybe back in like March or something. It was right when I think the lineup had officially come out, because I was like, oh, people are going to like buy their tickets. Like they're going to want to get their stuff booked. And if you didn't know, Ubbi Dubbi was in this super small Texas town called Ennis, Texas. And it's basically like 30 to 40 minutes outside of Dallas. And everything was getting booked up. Like anything close to that venue, 10 to 15 minutes out was booked up. And then as you kept on getting farther out and farther out. So we booked at a Motel 6, which I know was like, why did I book at a Motel 6 to begin with? But we booked there because it was just a cheaper option. It didn't look as bad. And I was just like, you know what, let's just do this. because anything else we would have had to driven like 30 minutes or 40 minutes just to get to the festival. So this was like the closest next best option we could find. And Airbnbs, I think, were sold out too, right, Babs? You were like looking at Airbnbs.
Yeah, my group was looking at a few, and we got one that was I think like 45 minutes away. I mean, it was not like we were close really, and it wasn't really like a crazy good, big Airbnb or anything. It was just like 3 rooms. They put cheap beds in it. They put bunk beds in it. And we're like, I guess that's what we're gonna have to tough it out with. So.
Yeah. So, and we were also gonna drive to the festival, so we're like, okay, not too big of a deal if we have to drive. So leading up to the week of, I had booked it on Expedia. So I just double checked in Expedia, saw it was still there, thought everything was good. And then the morning of, I called them being like, hey, what are the chances of us being able to like check in early? Because we wanted to get to the venue at 2, and check in, I think, was like around 2. So we were like, oh, maybe if the room's available around noon or 1, we'll be able to check in early. And they're like, oh yeah, like you might be able to, like, it'll be fine or whatever. And he didn't even ask me for like my reservation or anything. So I was just like, yeah, I'm sure it's fine. So we get to Waxahachie is what this other random mini town was called. And we get to that town, we get to the Motel 6. I'm at the wrong Motel 6 to begin with. I had directed us to the wrong Motel 6 because in the app it was showing one thing, but then somewhere else was showing another thing. So that was one thing that Chase, my boyfriend, was already like, what? We're at the wrong place. And so we call the other Motel 6 just to confirm that like our reservation's there. And he was like, yeah, sorry, like your name's not on here. Are you sure you booked with us? And we like read off the confirmation number. We start reading everything off. And I hand the phone to my boyfriend. He starts talking to him. And then the guy was basically like, yeah, we canceled your reservation like 2 weeks ago because we were overbooked. You should have gotten an email from like Expedia. You should have gotten all these things. And he wasn't very nice about it. He wasn't apologetic at all. He was just like, yeah, it kind of sucks, basically. And meanwhile, I'm texting Babs and I'm like, we're going to be late. Like, we don't have a place to stay. And like, because Babs and I were going to meet up and everything. And so we were just like, I was like, I don't know what's going on. We're just trying to figure out somewhere else to stay. And Babs kindly offered potentially staying with them. And then, yeah, so we're freaking out. My boyfriend's like, I'm going to go inside, go to the bathroom, but you need to figure this out. And I was like freaking out. And I was just like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what happened. This isn't my fault that they canceled. And like in the app on Expedia, it was still showing like that we still had those reservations. So it just didn't make sense. And then I go on Expedia just to see if there's anything available. I wasn't actually going to book on Expedia again because I learned my lesson, but I was just like, is there anything available that's close to us? We find this hotel in like DeSoto, Texas, another random small town that's like makes it about like still about a 35-minute drive to the festival. So I call them and I'm just like, hey, we're really in a bind. I know it's a festival weekend, but do you have any availability? And she was just like, no, we don't. And I was like, well, on this app, it's showing that you do. And she was like, okay, let me check the cancellations. So she checks the cancellations and luckily someone canceled. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And she was like, yeah, but the room rate will be like $300 for tonight. And I was just like, $300. Okay. And I was like, okay, but we need it for 2 nights. So what is it for Sunday? Because I also had a thought. I was like, well, maybe we just get it for tonight and then we figure it out the next day. But I was like, no, let's just book it for the whole weekend. Like if we found something, we found something. Mm-hmm. And Chase was still in the bathroom trying to go in the bathroom at the Motel 6 or something. Then he comes in the card and I'm literally giving this woman my credit card. And I was just like, just charge it. And it ended up being like $600 for the weekend.
Oh my God.
And it was a 2-bedroom, or not 2-bedroom, 2-bed hotel room, which is like, we don't need that, but like whatever. And she was just like, also check-in is at 4 p.m. And I was like, oh, is there any way we can check in? And she was like, no, like the room's not ready. We need to get it ready. So we were like, okay, whatever, it's fine. So we get to the hotel and I'm getting ready in the hotel parking lot, doing my makeup, doing my hair, just getting ready. And so then that was at like 3:00 we got there. And then finally we check in at 4, drop all our stuff off. I change into my clothes and then we get going and finally make it to the festival. And then, I didn't even think about all the parking
I was
stuff.
gonna say, I was like, wasn't there more to it? Because I remember getting texts from you about it like during the day.
Oh my God, I totally forgot all the parking stuff. So then we're all like, you know what? We're going to shake it off. Like, you know what? It'll be fine. We're going to shake it off. We're going to get to the festival. We still have like, we'll make it in by Wooly. We'll make it in for Vanessa. Like, we're like, okay, it's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to parking, and the maps had already taken us this like back way to get to the venue that we were really confused about. And so we start going this back way, and there's just like no signage for parking. So we're like, we're not really sure where to go. We're a little confused on where to go. I'm trying to pull up a map on my phone, but there's no service. And then we make this right turn and we start going, like you can see the venue. So we're like at the venue and we're just like, make this right turn. But then we see all these other cars like turning around and going the opposite way. So we're like, oh, maybe we're going the wrong way. So we start following the rest of the cars.
Oh.
And then we get led to the camping entrance, like the campground entrance, car entrance or whatever. And we're like, that's not where we need to be. And so the guy was like, oh, GA parking. And we're like, yeah, GA parking. So then he loops us all the way back, and we start going all the way back around the other way of the venue. And you just see cars all along the highway trying to all get into this venue. And this is like around closer to 5 o'clock basically.
Oh,
and you see people that like there's like random people that just like live in this area, and people are paying off the people that live there to park their cars. So some people just park their cars at like random homes because they have a bunch of lot and land and stuff. So people were like parking their cars and then going to the venue, like walking to the venue. We saw people that were in shuttles and Ubers just like getting out at the end and walking all the way in. And we find out that parking was just taking a really long time. So they opened up another lane. And then we found out that they made parking free. And Disco Donnie had like tweeted it out, like, it's going way too slow. Like, we'll do parking free. So we get to the front of the line, and they were still charging like every other car. But the guy was like, oh, like, how are you guys doing? And we're like, not great, because we just waited like an hour in line. And I can't even imagine the people that waited longer, because the line was so long on both ways of the highway. And if you were coming from one way, you had to like make a U-turn to get into the actual line.
That. Yeah.
And like people were like jumping like the medians and stuff to get to the other side just to like cut it off, and like the police were running after them and stuff. It was the messiest I've ever seen an entrance parking lot to like a music festival.
Oh my gosh.
And so yeah, we finally get parked an hour later. It's almost 6 o'clock. We just wanted to get in by Destructo at that point, because we were like, you know what, like it is what it is. And we get in, and I was fine once we were in, but it was just like we were walking in once like the energy was already building and like it was already getting chaotic and packed. So I just wish that we had gotten there earlier, because I could like settle into everything. You know what I mean? Because we walk in and it's just like automatically like, oh, we're back at a festival. Like everything's already going. I need to get food. I need to get water. I need to do all these things. And like all these sets are already happening. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So that was my entrance story. That was just a mess. And I was just like, man, this was rough. But then day 2 went so much better. Like day 2 was just like a lot better logistically and everything. But yeah, that was probably my big story about BW, was just that entrance.
Yeah, that's what I heard. We left our place at like 12, because there was some artists we wanted to see at 2, and we were worried about traffic, and we didn't know how long the drive was. But we got lucky. I mean, we were in line for, it felt like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
Oh,
like
nice.
we were like, it was quick, and we were there, and then we just walked in. It was a lot easier than that. I remember being like, with telling everybody, because I was they know of you, of course, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh my gosh, you're gonna come in and meet us? Like, yeah, we're gonna meet up with her. And then like as the texts were coming in, I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna meet up with them. And I was like, I think they're having a lot of complications, a lot of issues. And that's when we were actually entering when you texted me about like your hotel. And I asked them like, oh, if we have room, can they stay? And that's what we did, actually have room. So next time, if ever that happens again,
Yeah.
you got us. But yeah, we were a little farther away though. Still, we were about, like I said, 45 minutes. It was definitely.
Were you like more in Dallas?
No. So like the venue was northern Dallas. We were like on the outskirts of East Dallas. So we had to like go and hit one of the the highways that circle around. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know which one we were on, but we had to hit one of those highways and then cut up, and then go up, go north. So, but it was worth it. I mean,
yeah,
that's crazy. I couldn't imagine dealing with that. And I not this trip, but I have also dealt with that same issue with Expedia. We had back when I did, we had a decal company that we did with trucks, and we went to this big truck meet in Daytona, and we had done the same thing. We scheduled a nice hotel like in Daytona, and we get there and the guy's like, "We don't have your reservation." We're like, "Excuse me? Like, we've had this for a month and a half." And then sure enough, he's like, he told us, he was like, "We get this happen. Like, this happens all the time with Expedia. Like, we'll cancel and like give you guys advance notice, and they won't tell you anything." So I've never used Expedia since then.
Yeah.
I do not recommend it. I don't at all.
Never again.
No, that's horrible on their part. But we ended up going to this. We found this hotel that was like, I don't even know, like $35 a night, and it was the shittiest motel
oh no!
I've ever been in my life. We were cracking. I mean, it was at this point like we had first off, we had been up for like 12 hours. We woke up at 4 a.m. to drive over to the meet for the first day, and like set up when we worked it all day, 8 hours in the sun.
Oof.
And we were at this point just like laughing our asses off at how shitty the situation we were in was. It was just so bad.
At that point you just gotta laugh it off.
Oh yeah. It was so bad. But well, that's an unfortunate day one.
Yeah. Lessons learned. Expedia gave us $25 for the inconvenience, and I was like, well, I will never be using you guys again.
Yeah, never. You can't.
And I will be telling everyone to never use you.
Yeah, absolutely not. Don't. You heard it here. I don't recommend them either.
Yeah.
Well,